In this movie, I'm going to show you how to start customizing your room in Adobe Connect. So I already have a room set up. I really haven't done anything to it, but I have preloaded some content in here because I want to show you how you can bring in different types of files. So first, let's start with the attendee list. All of the pods, all the different types of pods can be renamed if you double click on the name of it. So the default name here is attendee list. If I want to change it to attendees, I can go in here and just change it and then hit enter or return when I'm finished and it renames it. So you can do that with any pod. So for example, the chat one, some people like to call that group chat. You can change the name of that. You can rename your notes if you want to put in the name of the client or the date, anything like that if you're collaborating. And I also want to talk about share pods because that's really one of the main reasons that we use content in Adobe Connect is by pulling it into share pods. So you can use PowerPoints, PDFs, you can use different types of image files, you can bring in Swift files, lots of different types of things you can bring in. Captivate quizzes. So I'm going to start by just grabbing the corner of this and just showing you that you can resize these any way you want. Now this is a much smaller one, and I did that on purpose because I'm bringing in a photo of myself and I don't want it to be enormous. So in here, and we'll get to sharing screen later, but to bring content into that pod, I'm just going to go to Share Document. Go out here and browse my computer, and I already have some documents right here. So I just have a screenshot. It's a silly photo I have of myself, and I'm bringing it in. So I have just brought my photo. It was actually a ping file. I brought it into that pod. Now it doesn't fit the exact size of this pod, so I can resize this if I wanted to do something like that. I can rename it, so I can go up here and change the name. And then I can resize it, as I said, anywhere I want. So sometimes when I'm teaching, I might want to move some of these things out of the way and put this up in the corner. I'm not a big fan of having a webcam on when I'm teaching or presenting, because then people are trying to decide to look at me or to look at the content, and I just don't like to work that way. So I can make these smaller or wider as needed. I'm just showing you how you can move things around. You can rename them, as I said, by double clicking on the name of them. And then I can also go in and set up other layouts. So you can see that over here on the right hand side there are a couple that come with the default program, but I can go in there and change them or make new ones if I want. So this one is called sharing, and you can see I've totally messed it up, but I'm going to go over here and click on discussion. This is one that's already set up for you if you wanted to do online discussions. So there's a place for the webcam, there's a place to put a poll, and we do have polls. If you go up under the pods menu, you can bring polls in if you want to, and you can capture this data later. So I could enter a question here, so I can say, what is the color of the sky? Well, that's not really something you can answer easily, but I'll just say A, blue, B, white, and C, pink. And then I can go over here and click open, and now that poll is open for people to be able to answer. So I can choose pink, which is the obvious answer, and it's showing me here because I'm a host, but your attendees would only see their own answer. And then you can determine all sorts of things if you want to share the results. There's a lot you can do with that, and I'll talk more about polls in a future movie. But for now, I'm just showing you there are different types of layouts that are set up, but you can also build one from scratch. This really doesn't work for me, so I might want to go in and just build one from scratch, and there are a couple ways you can do it. These are called layouts, so you can go up here to the layouts menu and choose create new layout. Another way you can do it is down here on the very bottom of the layouts menu. You can go down to the little plus sign and do the same thing. Now here you can create a blank one, which I'm going to do, or you can duplicate an existing one. So if there was one that was set up you really liked but you wanted to make just a few changes, you can go in here and duplicate an existing layout. I'm going to choose new, and I'm just going to call this Sally. So now it's giving me a totally blank slate, and now I can go in and start bringing things in as I need to. So I mentioned that I wanted to have my photo in the upper left, and I loaded that into a share pod. So I'm going up under here to share and choosing Sally. And there's that photo that I can bring in. And then I can bring up that attendee list again. The attendee list is right here under the main pods menu, and it comes in enormous, so I have to make this a lot smaller. And I like everything to match, so I would go in here, of course, and make sure all of these widths were the same. And then if I wanted a chat pod or a timer, all sorts of things you can load in here. Here's the chat pod. I can bring that up, go in here and put that at the bottom. And then if I'm going to bring in slides, I would want a large share pod to be able to put my slides in. So something like this would be a typical layout, or again, you could have a note pod if you're collaborating, timer, that sort of thing. But that's how you can go in and create a new layout for yourself, and how you can start working with the pods and begin to customize your room in Adobe Connect.